Well, just simply because there's a number of substantive issues and sort of irritants within the bilateral relationship that I think both sides would like to see some progress on, namely issues around the military crisis in Ukraine, which is ongoing, the Syrian civil war. Of course, the U.S. is concerned around a risk of military conflagration between Israel and some of the sort of Iranian proxies there. Moscow's leverage in that theater is something that the U.S. would like to see some sort of discussion over. And of course, there's the issue around arms. I mean, the new START treaty, which was brokered in 2011, is set to expire in 2021. Both sides would like to see potentially some sort of movement on that accord. And really just, of course, you know, the issue around meddling in the 2016 general election is something, at least from the U.S. perspective, if not really coming from the Trump White House, but certainly from the federal government, like to see at least some language coming out of this summit that at least sort of addresses that issue.
Arun, Putin's been at the top of government in Russia for 18 years. President Trump has been president for 18 months. Is there more at stake for the American leader than the Russian one here?
Probably so. I mean, I think Putin's geostrategic aim has really been sort of sowing discord in the West and kind of fracturing the Western alliance, so to speak. Trump, some of his statements have, some would argue, maybe abetted that effort, but clearly from the White House perspective, I think it's really about gaining some sort of progress in some of these bilateral issues that we sort of just mentioned, that if they were to at least provide some statements or some sort of way to show that this wasn't just sort of a meeting, as you know, the U.S. ambassador to Moscow had stated, but actually has some sort of actual concrete proposals coming out of it, there will be some sort of at least a way to show that this hasn't been really a waste.
This morning we're hearing from this Russian news agency the Russians would like to talk about strategic stability, arms control, Syria. But presumably their ideal scenario involves the ending of 2018 sanctions on some of their high-profile billionaires, as well as potentially the formal recognition of their ownership of Crimea. Is that ever going to happen, do you think?
I think some of the ambiguous statements coming out of the White House around Crimea, of course, maybe sort of increase expectations on the Russian side, but certainly we don't expect the White House to really make any comments that kind of legitimize the annexation at all. In terms of the April 2018 sanctions, which are, you know, of course, some of the harshest sanctions that have come out of the Treasury Department and come out of the executive branch have been those sanctions. Those are actually not captured under statute, which were sort of the Obama-era ones. So that's potentially offering an off-ramp to maybe rescind them, but that's something, again, which would carry a tremendous amount of political risk for this White House if they were to move against sort of winding those down and not getting anything in return.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.